Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire, and today I'm going to be giving you guys tips and tricks on how to make dean lists in college. I go to Florida State University, and I've been in college for a whole year, so 2 semesters, and then I also did a summer semester right before the start of my freshman year. Fall and spring were the only semesters I was eligible for dean's list because you have to take a certain amount of credit hours, and in the summer you only take 2 classes, so you don't meet the credit requirement. But for both fall and spring semester, I made dean's list. So I wanted to kind of come on here and say like some tips that helped me keep my grades up and could help you. So at my school, making dean's list is a 3.5 GPA, and then if you get a 4.0, you're on president's list, and I've never done that, so can't really talk about that. So at my school, dean's list is getting a 3.5 GPA, and our grading system, the highest grade you can get is an A, and then all down to an F minus. So you can get an A minus, a B plus, a B, B minus, and so on. So every letter has a plus and a minus except for A. There's no A plus, which makes it very confusing trying to figure out your GPA, because the smallest change in your percent grade affects if you have a like A minus or an A, and then that affects your GPA. But the grading scale is kind of weird in college. It's definitely different from high school. So my number one biggest tip is stay organized. Do not fall behind at all, because once you are just a little bit behind, it is so hard to catch up again. So the best way to stay organized, in my opinion, is to have a planner. You could use an online planner. I prefer to write everything down. So I have this, and I only use monthly spreads, and then I make to-do lists. So like this is what my monthly spread looked like for March. I don't really write too many of like my assignments in it, just like the bigger things, and March was a fairly easy month because we were supposed to go on spring break and then we just never ended up going back, so it wasn't too bad. And then I have notes pages where this is like notes from a meeting and stuff, and then in the back of every month I make my to-do lists. So each list is a different week with all the assignments I have to do, color-coded for the classes, and then the day that I have to do it, which is normally just the day before it's due. You have to stay organized. If it's not a planner that works for you, have some kind of system that you can keep track of all of your due dates and keep everything straight in your head, because if you fall behind, there's almost no way to catch up. Also with staying organized is stay organized in your weeks. Plan designated study time where you just either go by yourself or with a friend and just go and study. Go to a library, find a quiet room in your dorm or like apartment complex, and just study. If someone asks you to go out and do something else, say no. This is your study time. Make sure that you plan that into your schedule. That way it's not kind of a last minute thought right before a big test or assignment. My second big tip is do extra credit assignments if they are offered. A lot of teachers won't offer extra credit assignments. I would say that about 50% of my professors offered extra credit, and most of the time it was super small, really easy assignments. Like literally it took me 10-15 minutes and it gets you an extra 15-20 points, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but over time that makes a difference. It really adds up, and it makes a difference in you getting a B versus a B plus. So it really builds. Even if you think you're doing well in a class, do the extra credit assignment if there is one offered, because the teacher in the class that you're doing well may be offering extra credit and you'll be like, oh, I already have a B plus, I don't need to do extra credit. But the GPA boost that you get from doing that extra credit could help balance out a class that you're not doing so well in. So doing extra credit in a class you're good in will raise your grade there, and then the class that you're not so good in, it will kind of balance out in your GPA. So take advantage of any extra credit that a teacher throws your way, because they don't do it often, and a lot of teachers will not do it at all, so take advantage if they do. This next tip kind of goes hand in hand with what I was just saying with balancing out your GPA. Don't ignore your easy classes. If there's something that you were really good in high school and you get to take it again, or just a class that has a super easygoing professor, or you just get it, like you're just good, don't ignore those classes, because getting an A is better than an A minus, and that GPA difference is going to balance out a class that you're struggling in. So make sure that if you're doing well, keep doing well. Don't just be like, oh, I can skip this assignment because I already have an A, because that's going to drop you down to a B, and then you're going to be screwed, because then you'll have 2 B's and a C instead of 2 A's and a C. You know, like, it all balances out. So do not count out your easy classes. You need those to help you. Tip number 3 is find a good study method that works for you. In high school, I never really had to study. Everything just kind of like came easily to me. Like, I just got it. There were only a few classes that like I really had to like study in. And when I got to college, that all changed. I actually had to study for most of my classes, and I had never figured out how to study the right way. I never had a good way to study that worked for me. So I had to go through a lot of trial and error my first semester at college, and it sucked. So try to figure out a way to study that works for you. I personally love making flashcards for literally every single subject. I will have a stack of flashcards about this big, and I love it because you can make them for each chapter, and then at the end of the year when you're studying for your final, you have a giant stack that you can go through. I also tried outlining, which didn't really work for me, but it works for a lot of my friends. You can also try practice tests, or watching videos, or studying in friends or like with a group. There is also so much stuff online to help you study, like free videos on YouTube and all that kind of stuff, Quizlets, and there's normally a website for your university that will have extra study sheets and stuff. Take advantage of everything you can find, because those can be really, really great study tools. This is number 5, isn't it? And the last one was number 4? Whatever. My last tip, and this is the biggest one, go to class. Go to your classes. And this is something I find really difficult. I skip a lot. There are just those days where you don't want to go, but you will be amazed by how much you retain from just sitting in the classroom. Even if you're not taking notes, I've had a lot of teachers who it was just really hard to take notes when they're lecturing, so I would just sit there and listen, and then go back to my dorm and take my notes there using like a PowerPoint or something like that. But you will be amazed by how much you can get into your head just by sitting there and listening to them. Also, I had a lot of teachers who did like attendance points, so like it wasn't required to go to class, but you would get extra points for going. Or a lot of my teachers used like those clickers to like map in your attendance, and then we would get points for correct answers on those. So you really don't want to give away any like easy small points like attendance or like clicker points, because they add up. So just make sure you go to class. It's really not that bad, especially when you're in college. Your schedule is so much more open than when you're in high school. So going to class for like 2-3 hours a day really is not that bad in the grand scheme of, you know, your whole day. So make sure you go to class. My next tip is focus on your midterms and finals. Every single one of my teachers that I had made the midterms and finals a huge chunk of our final grade. And I know midterm and final weeks are really stressful times. Like, most people are not going out. No one really wants to hang out because everyone is just so stressed about them. Take advantage of that. Most people are not going to be doing things other than studying. So take advantage of not having distractions and really, really focus on studying for them, because they are so important in calculating your final grade. And you're going to be so mad if you get to the end of the semester, nail your final, and then realize that you screwed up your midterm because you just didn't care, or you didn't study, or you didn't pay attention. Really focus on them. That's pretty much like my main tips. I mean, the biggest thing with it is just, if you're committed, you can get good grades, you can do well in a class, and you don't need to be that person who like has a great relationship with your professors to do it. Like, you can sit in the room and never speak and still get good grades and make dean's list. So that's really all I have to say about it. Make sure you know what your school deems as dean list, because I don't know if like 3.5 is like a standard thing, or if that's just my university. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna stop rambling now. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's in the bio. Comment, like, subscribe, rate. I already said that. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.